Welcome back to the program, everybody. The name of this program is called It's a Conspiracy, But It Ain't No Theory. My name is Adrian Alice. I am an author, a singer-songwriter, model musician. I am the author of a 2-part book series called Lucy's Lair, Part 1 and Part 2, a book series reflecting my life as a survivor of rape culture and child sex trafficking, otherwise known as domestic terrorism. So I'm the woman with a phoenix tattoo rising from my sternum. As one can imagine, this topic doesn't blow over smoothly with the deep state, with the government. They do not like my highly triggering hot topic discussions and my program and my tattoos and just me. And I think that implies a much bigger issue, and that issue is something that I enjoy shedding light on my program. And so one of the primary things that I'm going to be focusing on today's program and on today's show is going to be the sexual harassment component to this organized harassment campaign. This on the street is technically termed gang stalking. That's the slang way to say the organized harassment campaign. It's gang stalking is just a slang way to say an organized hate terrorist group. Okay, that's what I'm actually dealing with here in my neighborhood and here in my community. And so I hope everybody is enjoying their morning so far. And just a little trigger warning going forward. If this isn't something that interests you, you might, or if this is something that is possibly highly triggering to you, you might want to go ahead and just click off now. So I added quite a bit of clip notes because I knew that I wasn't going to remember word for word what it was that I wanted to discuss. Not only that, but since there are hackers hacked onto my device and there's a virus, at many times when I go to record, I'll lose the good footage that I had, or it will just not even take it at all many times. And so I'll just have to keep redoing it. And then, of course, I mess up more that way. And so I just have to go with whatever it is that I can get because, like I said, there's a virus and there are many hackers in the neighborhood right now listening to me as I speak. So welcome back to the program, everybody. The name of this program is called It's a Conspiracy, But It Ain't No Theory. Happy to be here with you all. My name is Adrian Alice, and I am the American Dream. All right, so on this program, I will be discussing and reviewing my experience with the gang stalking, the remote gang stalking, cyber torture, no-touch torture, slow kill program, the sleeper cell terrorists that are in this neighborhood that work as deep state lapdogs that are just basically harassing and stalking electronically and in real life, blackmailing, extorting, trafficking, enslaving the others around them. So and so this is basically also too why you see shows like The Walking Dead, and we'll get more into that a little bit later, but The Walking Dead is social engineering. All of these people are harvesting this one person's energy, and they're all getting rich and literally eating off of this one person's, feeding their whole entire families and their whole entire cultures and their whole entire empires off of one person's energy. And so that is what gang stalking is. That is what remote gang stalking is. So I'm going to be reviewing and discussing my experience with this. Okay, and before I go any further, I'd like to take a moment of silence. And so one of the things that my gang stalkers repeatedly tried to feed my mind's eye was the fact that they were in this together. And so when it comes to the narcissist, the psychopath, the sadist, for whatever reason, one of their go-to tactics is exclusion and triangulation. And so when you're dealing with the military, they're not going to outwardly say this, and they cannot because it's illegal. It's highly illegal. And they know this, of course, and so they have to use a subliminal message or a subliminal parody. And so there's always an abusive message in the media that's extremely shocking. And then that creates trauma-based mind control. And it corrupts the mind's eye. And it is poisoning. My peers, I've seen the corruption firsthand in my own family. And that's exactly what they intend to bring about as a result of these programs. And it's the negligence for me. It's the negligence for me, okay? And so one of the ways that they're going about persecuting these people is by making a subliminal parody about them, about these politically targeted individuals, And so there's always a abusive underlining message. So it could be Andrew Tate. Let's take Andrew Tate, for example. Whatever he got in trouble for is one thing. But then there's always a super toxic underlining message that is specified for a specific target. And only the target would know this. Right? So, look, on today's program, one of the things that I'm going to be discussing and going over further and primarily focusing on for today is the sexual assault, the touchless sexual assault, along with the sexual harassment, the online and in-person sexual harassment that is taking place and happening and occurring in TI's lives. As a woman, I don't know what it's like for a man, so I wouldn't go out of my way. Let me just put it this way. I wouldn't go out of my way to leave devices uncensored. Recording lens. I wouldn't go out of my way to take or remove the tape off just so that the deep state can see what my boyfriend or fiance looks like without his work clothes on or whatever. And so, like I was saying, they were indeed in it together. They conspired against not only me, but themselves collectively. So, like I was saying on an earlier podcast, when it comes to conspiracy, a person never has what it takes to stand on their own. And it also brings me to another just interesting side point, because I've never seen, other than maybe one or two times, I've never seen a gang of these people, or even just one person, like address me and try to approach me in an uncivil manner. And so this is their way of trying to be peacefully protesting my rights, and also too just taking my rights completely away and stripping me of all of my rights. I don't have any privacy. If I take a photo, I'm sexually harassed. And if you're ballsy like me, because I'm pretty damn ballsy, I'll take bad nudes on purpose. Like, I'll have the cutest outfit on ever. I won't even get a good photo of the outfit, because I'll be focused on trying to fuck the hackers off. You know, trying to get my bad angle, trying to get my fucking stretch marks, trying to catch my moldy moles, because this is how I set them up. Because every time I step outside, or every time I go out in public, they will be there waiting for me, ready to harass me about sexually harass me about a photo I didn't send to them in the first place. If I didn't send it to you, it doesn't pertain. It's none of your business. whoever is, whoever is employing these lap dogs to come out here and harass me or sexually harass me, they need to keep their hands off of my fucking data. The difference between them and I is I'm an actual gangster. And this is why I say, I don't understand why you never see, these people swear they got such a fucking huge issue, such a big deal, and yet they won't face me. Because that's the entrapment operation. That the same thing that I be sitting over here swearing and wishing a bitch would just try me one time. Try me one time. Try it on for size one time, baby. Try it on for size one time. And they sit over here thinking they're so bad because they got these lap dogs. But the lap dogs ain't hard enough combined. And they themselves don't even have what it takes to bring their little sorry asses down here and get back on Earth, the planet where everybody resides in reality. And to be like, what's up? I have never, ever, 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 ever seen like a group of black transsexuals try to jump me. Nope. Somebody knows better. And so a part of the sexual harassment is leaking the data as basically revenge porn. And then also too, how they can actually have somebody call like my gynecologist and cancel my doctor's appointments. This is a form of sexual harassment. They can literally have somebody call. The last time I went to a gynecologist, it took me 3 hours to get there. And it took me 3 hours to get home. Just for them to cancel my fucking... And I mean, gas is so expensive right now. And it was even more expensive a year ago when I went to this appointment. And I wasn't living here in Seattle. I was living in Moses Lake. So for me to have to travel 2 to 3 hours just to get to my appointment, for them to cancel it, it just puts their target out financially, and also too kills 2 birds with 1 stone by sexually harassing them. Obviously, all of this being done remotely, because like I've already previously stated, it's a no-touch torture program. It is a touchless torture program. So I can beg these motherfuckers to see me all day and night, but they're not going to do it because that's what the entrapment operation entails. They know that they have somebody who is a biological weapon. They know that they have somebody who can rip another person's head off their shoulders. They know how dangerous this person is. Actually, they've seen it. They have seen this person beat fat asses up. They have seen this person take out their aggression on the environment around them, which seeks to oppress them. I will tell you right now, I'm not suicidal, nor have I ever been, and also too, I don't seek to physically harm folks, but I know that I can, and I also know that that's my right. I don't carry a gun because I'm not that paranoid. I've handled 100% of my lightweight to date. Nobody has ever come to bail me out once. And every time I have handled my lightweight, make no mistake and rest assured that this person deserved what they got. And had it coming, it was long overdue. If they don't listen to me when I ask them to stop nicely the first time, if you keep testing my boundary and raping my data, well, when's the last time you looked in the mirror? Let me ask you that. And so the slave to the needle propaganda came from one person's cell phone data. One singular individual is responsible for every single last drop of COVID-19 propaganda you've ever seen or heard of. This one individual has been doing the politicking for both sides. They have ghost produced that one individual, that particular special targeted individual, being myself. Yeah, they've been able to capitalize off of people's data, and they have been able to monetize off of intellectual private property. Now, if somebody were to break into your car, you'd probably shoot them. If somebody were to kidnap your children and you were to catch them, you'd probably shoot them dead. If somebody were to break into your house and rob you or rape you, you'd probably shoot them dead. So why is it that we are dealing with data on such a micro scale? Why is it that the laws refuse to hear how these targets are being victimized? This target hasn't assaulted anybody. The only thing this target has ever done that was bad, more than likely, can be contributed to MK Ultra. They don't owe you an apology because they don't have any real influence. You owe them more than an apology because you're an actual murderer. There's a big difference. There's a defining difference. It makes all the difference, actually. And, you know, in another 20 years, I'll be sitting in your position and you'll be sitting in mine. That's the way I see it. And I fully intend to outlive my gang stalkers. I fully intend. That's how not suicidal I am. That's how much I will not allow myself to be in a toxic relationship, being raped on, or being fucked off. That's how much I won't settle for that anymore. That's how much I love myself. That's how much I care. All right, so another one of the things that I wanted to go over today was the kind of like it has something to do, it's in part of the sexual harassment campaign, and you'll see how and why. I'll get there. And just a little side note, for me personally, it's not so much of a why thing, because I know why people act the way that they do, and that's because they're insecure. Okay, so for me, it's not so much of a why thing, it's more of a how did they manage, you know, to be this criminal and conspire on this degree, on this level, against somebody that they were jealous of. And so then it's never really a why thing, it's more of a how thing. That's kind of my point. So, but regardless, one of the things that kind of goes hand in hand with the sexual harassment is the cognitive distortion, which I see very frequently on my Snapchat. And I have many photos for evidence, but I'm not just going to stop my video and clip it and snip it just to post one. No, that's too much extra work. I don't care. You know, it's kind of like when I take some photos, I do them without makeup. Why? Because these men aren't worth it. They're just not. They're not worth the effort. They're not paying me, you know? And so that's a lot of the reason, too, why I'll take a bad photo or a bad angled photo or a bad lighting photo, because they're just not worth it to me. They're not paying me. I'm not their wife. I'm not their Sancha. We don't have kids together. They're freeloaders. All the hackers in the neighborhood that are hacked onto my device and that are getting literally rich off of exploiting me and trafficking my data are freeloaders. They're freeloaders. They don't have any of their own real money. That money belongs to their trafficked victim. All right? And so one of the things I wanted to mention and go over is kind of like the cognitive distortion. And okay, the reason why I mentioned this is for a few reasons, but one of the main reasons why I mentioned the cognitive distortion is because it goes hand in hand with the sexual harassment. And so when I go onto my Snapchat, I see the strangest shit ever. Like, there will be an Asian chick with an egg that has foundation on it. And she'll be doing her makeup with an egg that has foundation on it. It doesn't make any fucking sense. But it serves a purpose. The only reason it's there is to sexually harass me and to electronically harass me and to create cognitive distortion. And so a lot of people probably wonder, why the fuck do you talk with an accent? Well, I have a real accent because I am a real gangster. That's not fake. That's who I actually am. Okay? But I can play on top of that. I can sprinkle sugar on that. Okay? And when I do that, it makes my gang stalkers hella mad. Why? Cognitive distortion. Cognitive distortion. So every time you hear me saying something like, period, oh, I'm not doing it because I'm a dumbass. I'm playing the card. I'm playing the hand, okay, that I was dealt. These motherfuckers on the other end here are fucking dumbasses, ugly asses, and they will get handled, no cap. All right, and so the reason why the sexual harassment campaign is worth mentioning is because it's taking place in many different forms. And so another form of sexual harassment would be sending a sheriff out to fat shame me because of a photo that you see me take that I didn't send to you, right? They're private photos. It's my data. This is what it comes down to. This is how they are trafficking and abducting these women and these children and these people. Actually, it isn't going down anything like the way you hear stories in the mainstream. Those stories have all been fabricated. And I haven't made a single dollar, not one single dollar, since 2020. Since I was canceled, and since I've been mobbed, since all of my supporters have been mobbed and murdered, deceived and corrupted. And in January 2020, I was diagnosed with shingles. And so the pandemic was nothing more than a spoof or a parody, a billionaire spoof, a billionaire's parody of my shingles, a mock of my shingles, which is how anybody would know that? Hacking, phishing, spying. It's my personal medical record, and yet it's being used to exploit me, and then and such it's being used to sexually harass me. And so, you know, when you're guilty of doing something that is that criminal, when you're guilty of doing somebody innocent, that you know, when you're guilty of conspiracy, of course you're not guilty of doing it on your own. You're not me. You're not me, and you're not doing it for free. You're doing it for the money that I should have had made. And like I said in an earlier video, I do believe it's $20 million for every act of terrorism. And I've been terrorized every single day for the past 3.5, 4 years, probably longer. And I have been speaking power to truth and exposing corruption on record in a court of law since the very first words ever out of my mouth. And so I don't ever have to wonder or question why it is that they are so scared. I already know. I am just as much of an expert in what it is that I do as they are, if not more. All right, and so the one reason why I wanted to cover this is because this is something that they will not mention. And they need a scapegoat. They need a scapegoat to deflect from all of their own flaws, from all of their own insecurities, all of their own failures. And so this MK Ultra has been inciting wars inside my family's home. And as a result, I will see articles fluctuating in my algorithm like Alex Baldwin, okay? And then coupled with that harassment, wouldn't you know, I will stumble across a pistol in my home that's fully loaded and cocked and just ready to go. Just coincidentally could start a real war and create a real tragedy at any given moment. It's just laying around here. And so one of my boundaries, because of these silent operatives, is that I'm a peaceful protester, okay? I have hands for that. I don't need a pistol for that, you know? And I appreciate the efforts that have been made to try to protect me, but I'm not paranoid to such a degree that I need to worry about something happening now that hasn't already happened, that I don't already know how to address in a more mature manner. And so I'm aware that the sadist lacks empathy, which is why I do not do this for empathy. Nobody feels bad for exfiltrating my data or my metadata and for selling me out. Not one of these sadists has any empathy. They're completely lacking. And so I don't do this as a way to make them feel guilty or to make them feel a lack of empathy, because I'm aware that they don't feel that. That's a spiritual component that they completely lack, which is why they're orphan phobic in the first place. You know, these people sit around and they talk about other people suffering, and they have no idea what it's like. They can't even dare be bothered to hear about how somebody else has been raped or molested. So if you can't even hear about it because of the secondhand trauma, it's too great for you. How do you think the people that are actually suffering and dealing with these things, these actual issues, are you expecting that these people hate themselves as much as you do? Are you fully anticipating that these empaths lack the empathy that you do? And so the only reason why you exist is because the empath has empathy. That's it. It's not because of a lack of power. It's not because of a lack of initiation or initiative. It's not because of a lack of will. You simply exist because of the empath's empathy. And nothing else, and nothing more. So evil people do not feel good about themselves. Evil people who do not feel good about themselves have to put that horrible feeling that they possess about themselves onto somebody who they deem less worthy. And so the sexual abuse is really interesting to mention, because even somebody who has EDD will still be trying to rape a bitch, okay? Somebody who is completely inadequate will still be trying to pimp a hoe or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And so the gang stalker in and of themselves don't have the sex that it takes to hypnotize the general public, which is why they need the energy magic, the energy sex magic. They need to exfiltrate that data so they can reverse engineer that data into something that they deem hypnotizing, sexual, hypersexual. But that's just not a component. That's not a component. That's not a human nature component that they possess naturally on their own. Themselves combined in a unit, there's not one of them in the whole group that looks like a healthy apple. Not one of them. That's how you know. And so one of the big things that I wanted to mention and go over is the sexual harassment component to the gang stalking, right? Okay, so if I'm going to mention the sexual harassment component to the gang stalking, I will just have the whole entire world know that I have not had sex with anybody willingly in over 5 years. That's Sounds a whole lot like a trafficked victim to me. That's exactly what I mean. And so the gang stalkers know that I'm in an abusive relationship. And so although they're trying to completely sabotage me, they don't mind me being in this relationship because they know that my significant other is toxic. They know that he is a terrorist. They know that he is absolutely 110% guilty of rape in his past. They know what type of person he is. And he serves absolutely perfect for the type of punishment, the narcissistic punishment, that they feel like they deserve, okay? Sexually. All right, and so this all backfires on them when the gang stalker they send out to sexually abuse me has EDD. You know, so if I sound distraught, maybe it's because I haven't had sex in over 6 years, you know? And I've been trafficked in having sex with nobody I would ever choose as such ever since. And I think it's really interesting because you don't ever hear any of these celebrities speaking the truth the way that you hear these up-and-coming artists. Also, too, just a little side note, these modern times artists are nothing like the celebrities that you see. See, there's a difference between, there's a defining difference between an artist and a celebrity, right? These celebrities get famous because of their fake ass implants. They can't rap, they don't sing, they don't model, they're not models. All right? It's all about the sex. It's always been all about the sex, okay? This is in part of the sexual harassment. And so it's relevant. And so, of course, you know, when you have a fake sex icon looking at a real sex icon, and when you have AI with downloaded guitar lessons and downloaded vocal lessons looking at somebody who's never had a lesson in their life, it's going to be quite, you know, an interesting thing, because where whatever they simulate, it comes so easily and so naturally. What I have going on for me and myself and for my family is not easy, and I have been singing for over 30 years. It's also not something you can go to school and learn. You're either born with the talent that I've been gifted from God with, or you're not. AI is not born with this talent. They download it very easily. That's why all of them combined don't have what it takes to change the world. You can put all of their little genius babies in the same tank, and so what? So what do you have? The state of our nation now? A bunch of jealous babies. That's what you have. A bunch of simulated babies that don't matter because they're not even real. That can't stand stories like my own because they couldn't even fathom. You know, Dory the fish doesn't have a memory because it has AI. It's able to delete all of the bad memories. And so because it's able to delete all the bad memories, it wakes up every morning not realizing that it just killed 5,000 people the night before, or fucking trafficked 500 kids, or led this woman to believe that she was in a relationship with a billionaire man that was nothing more than a figment of her imagination, right? And this is what the sexual harassment entails. The sexual harassment 110% entails the target believing that Elon Musk loves them, is head over heels in love with them, and wants to marry them. And so they must make as many nudes as they can. So one of the biggest things that these hackers are able to do in an attempt to manipulate a target to sexually harass them is is to hack a celebrity that they know that they are crushing on, and particularly one that they've honed in on, and then that they've groomed you with, like they've desensitized you to honey trapping with, let's say, Elon Musk, because that's the case for me. So then Elon Musk will say, quote, "I love Twitter," on his Twitter. Then what happens? The target has a downloaded dream sequence ahead of time and thinks it's having a precognition. It thinks it's having a premonition that this man has declared and confessed his love. This billionaire celebrity man has declared and confessed his love for this target. So then the target starts to fall head over heels. So then the target will start to fall head over heels in love with this celebrity crush that they've been groomed and honey trapped into falling for. And as such, they will attempt to create more sexual content. And then when they become corrupted to the point where they're creating more sexual content, they will continue to be sexually harassed on such content basis, creating an everlasting trauma-based mind control, that which other agents will seek to attack and exploit, like Beyonce sitting on a clear pony. Also to create trauma-based mind control. I am the only person that records videos sitting on a clear chair. That's relative to mainstream at the moment. And so the hackers will convince and manipulate the target into believing that this entertainer, this celebrity, Elon Musk, Beyonce, or whoever, they will convince their target and manipulate their target and sexually harass their target electronically and in person into believing that they're grooming them for the purpose of potentially marrying the suitor. And so as such, it turns out to be nothing more than a team of bald, fat, old, irrelevant, never going to be nothings having asses. And so that's why they're hackers, right? They need a scapegoat to get rich off of and to pimp. And I genuinely believe that the supremacy, the top knot occult, godfather or grandmother, whatever, I don't care. I said that on purpose. I said what I said. Okay, so I do believe that they help them out, and they do try to make the target also to believe that they are that they want to be with them, but they don't. And they do this all for the purpose of creating hypersexual sexual content, so that the trafficked victim can continue to be pimped covertly. So in an attempt to try to subordinate their targeted individual and to exploit them, they will honey trap them. And then it comes down to nothing more than a bunch of hackers, lapdogs that very well potentially could be working for real spies. Like Elon Musk is probably a real spy, and I know he's a con. He definitely doesn't love Twitter, that's for sure. And so anybody believing that lie has fell off, okay? And that's why they have to do the things that they're doing now to people like me, because they fell off. Duh. And so as such, hands down, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, I was sexually harassed by Elon Musk, baby mother, and by his handlers, and by his lapdogs. And I do not ever want to hear no women coming out saying, "Oh, we support you," because you didn't. You didn't. You all called me crazy.